So let's talk about that Comic-Con Star Wars behind the scenes reel.
So this was revealed. I watched the entire panel online, which again, well, there's a reason you should have went to this panel, and the one reason why I should have went online with James from 9 a.m. because after the Star Wars panel at Comic-Con, they had a freaking impromptu or it was set up concert for all the attendees of that panel in the Hall H, which holds about 6,000 people. They all got tickets. They walked them all to the bay right behind where Comic-Con is. At the convention center, and they all got lightsabers, and they had a fucking orchestrated concert with the big screen from the movies, and they even ended it with fireworks.
I didn't even know that. That's pretty spectacular.
You didn't know that?
No.
That was like the highlight of Comic-Con.
What day was that?
That was
Saturday? Or was
Friday. It was Friday night. So basically, the hall cleared. Kevin Smith tweeted that, oh, great, the hall's empty now for his panel. But it was totally a surprise, and it was funny because early in the day, or on Thursday or early Friday, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. There's some sort of weird concert thing. Like you could see the chair setup you saw at this stage. And you're like, I was wondering what that was for, whether it was even Comic-Con related. Turns out it was. And then the stars come out, and on the panel you had all the new stars, and you had the original cast. Peter Mayhew. You know, they kept him in the front row. They give a shout out. Oh, yeah, Peter Mayhew, great. But you had Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford comes out, and the crowd fucking went nuts.
I have a friend who really likes Peter Mayhew, and he was like
a nice guy.
But I mean, he was signing pictures.
Yeah, he had his own booth.
He had his own booth. He was signing pictures. And I'm like, shit, I'm gonna get my buddy. I'm gonna get him a signed picture. And then I looked at how much Peter Mayhew was charging for a signed picture.
How much?
Like $75 to $100.
Well, I guess he must pay for that booth. He's been at that He's been there forever.
Sure, but I was just like,
he's getting that new Star Wars money.
I'm like, I can't.
He's Chewbacca again now.
I said I want to, but like it was like Sunday was the first time I saw it, and like my con funds are dwindling.
75 is hefty for an autograph.
It is.
I'd do 25.
Oh sure, if it had been 25, I would have got him the autograph in a heartbeat.
But I think I paid 15 or 20 for Sir George Lazenby. Really, really good Bond, underrated. And yeah, actually, as a quick side note, there wasn't a lot of autograph signings. People that I had any interest in even seeing or walking past this year. But anyway, so. J.J. Abrams came out. They talked about the movie. J.J. Abrams is a likable guy. Obviously, the cast comes out. They joke, blah, blah, blah. So then they showed this behind-the-scenes reel. The trailer's still too far away. It's going to be probably a few months. Usually, traditionally, the last trailer comes out 2 to 3 months before a movie comes out. So you're going to be looking at late September, probably, for a trailer.
I can't wait for everything to be ruined. Anyways.
Well, it wasn't ruined as much for, the other Star Wars trailers, but okay. So it was a behind-the-scenes reel talking to Mark Hamill and a lot of the stars and the new stars, just talking about the process and what's going on in this production. And a huge emphasis was placed on the fact that we're using real sets. We're using real locations. We're using models. Hell, when they had Daisy Ridley, I think it was the Millennium Falcon turret.
Yeah, it was a mechanized thing that was...
And the guy was controlling it and moving it around. And they showed the puppets. They brought out the one puppet. The first ever footage was from this movie, at least of a puppet or creature, was J.J. Abrams was doing a charity thing, and they had this guy with like a camelback walk out, this monster creature. Well, not a creature, nice looking guy with a pack on his camel hump sort of back. And that came out, and it was being controlled, and the eyes and nose twitch. Yep. You're like, holy shit, this is insane to see this. And so they went I'll just say they went out of their way to say that this is not like the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Now, the prequel trilogy did have very limited sets, and they did use exteriors a little bit in the first and second movies. In the first movie, they did go into a desert for the Tatooine scenes. And in the second movie, the exteriors were used a real set for the great romantic subplot between Anakin and Padme. It looked like I think they filmed it maybe in Italy with the nice little rivers and stuff. Other than that, though, pretty slim pickings for real locations. They built some stuff, obviously. Usually stuff was built against green screens. Giant 40-foot and 30-foot wide green screens. But for the most part, the real locations was kept to a minimum. Here, that's basically all they're doing is real locations and real sets, which is obviously fantastic.
Yeah, the only thing I have to say about it is that I get very excited for practical effects. I get very excited for sets. And what was most interesting to me was to see how excited the actors were to be working
against
on real sets with practical effects. Because I mean, just think about it. You're an actor, especially. Think you're Harrison Ford, right? And you've gone through movies from practical effects through CG. Imagine how boring that shit must be to act on right now, you know? And then you get to go back to doing something the old-fashioned way, but using modern technology to craft these sets and make them look even better. There was a shot, and it's very brief, early on, where they show like this hulking ship, right? And they briefly pan out and show you the miniature. And like a little camera filming the miniature.
Nice.
And it's just it was fantastic.
Yeah, I can't imagine making models being that much more expensive than doing it via CG. You got to hire the artist to do it CG. You got to hire a model maker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And hell, I'm not even saying you got to have the guys fly it around like on sticks, but at least make the model and put that into the computer, and that's a lot better. That's
sure.
one step closer than just having a guy draw it out.
And like I've always
said, the human eye can detect differences. People understand, like the human eye can detect differences still. We're getting closer, but you go back and even watch episode 3. The CG for the space fights is one thing, but the backgrounds are horrific.
Yeah, no,
they're horrific.
And that's what I've always said. That shit's not going to age well. In 20 or 30 years,
they'll redo them.
the prequel. Well, yeah, the prequel trilogy is going to look like utter shit. Whereas the original trilogy is still more or less going to stand up.
They filmed it in a real, an ice glacier. They filmed it in a freaking California forest.
Yeah, exactly.
They went to those places.
Yep.
They went to Tunisia. I think it was just sort of the bad timing for, Lucas always said he wanted to wait until the technology was right to do the prequels. Okay. I think it's like Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. People asking if we could do this and never asked if we should do it. Should we make a character like Jar Jar Binks that's totally CG?
Right.
Should we do that? Should we make that going from hadn't really been done before to now we're doing it and it's thrown in your freaking face for an entire movie?
Now all I can think about is Jeff Goldblum reclining with his shirt unbuttoned from Jurassic Park as he's healing.
Great, Ian. I'll think about it too. I'll try to get on with this. But it's interesting that
let it infect you.
It's not like that. It's not like episode 3 did bad business. It did pretty good business. I'll bring up the box office mojo while I talk about this. But obviously Disney has a huge investment in this first movie. They're going to have at least one. It's going to be like the Marvel movies. You're going to have 1 or 2 movies a year coming out going forward with both the anthology of 7, 8, and 9 and then the standalone movies. They already announced, a Boba Fett one's going to happen. Rogue One's definitely going to come out already next Christmas. You're like, what? Is this Christmas? Yeah, there's going to be another one. And then, episode 8. 5 months after that in 2017 for the 4th anniversary of Star Wars. So Disney has a lot riding on this first movie. Not that they think it's going to fail, but they want the jaded fans like me to make sure they see it. Obviously, you're going to have kids see it. You're going to have the hardcore Star Wars fans. But there are those fans that sort of fell off the wagon like me where it's like, okay, what do you got? Like, I'm going to see this anyway, but this was the reassurance. This was like the free hand job to say, okay, this is going to be good. We promise you this is going to be good. You're going to come see this. That's what this 3-minute reel basically looked like to me.
They still have to sell me. I am one of those fans that you're talking about. I'm one of those people you're talking about. They still need to sell me, but with every little thing they trickle out, I'm like, yeah, I think this is something I'm going to actually enjoy.
So I wouldn't call it so much a slap in the face to Lucas. It doesn't make Lucas seem good by basically saying, oh, whatever that guy did in those other 3 movies, that's not happening this time. But again, I think it's sort of a reassurance that, okay, we heard your complaints. We realized that may have been overboard. This is what we got. So Star Wars Episode 3, now, of course, this is already, 10 years ago, there's going to be some inflation. Not a huge amount. There actually hasn't been a lot of inflation the past 10, 15 years compared historically other time periods. But it made $380 million domestically. For a Star Wars movie, it could do better. It could do a little bit better than that.
Yeah, that's not good.
So I think Disney is going to bank on doing, 500, 600, 700, 8.
Yeah.
That's probably what they're looking to get out of this. And plus that they're banking on this having enough momentum to going into the standalone movies and then episode 8 and 9. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, it did worldwide $850 million. For a Star Wars movie, it could do better. We're talking about the biggest film franchise ever. It can do better at this point. So I'm excited for it. You'll see the trailer in a few months. I hope certain characters don't die, but there's rumors about who comes back, who doesn't. So everyone looks great though. Carrie Fisher looked great. I think Mark Hamill looks fantastic he sort of steps in where Sir Alec
He
Guinness
aged
was.
gracefully.
Oh yeah, he looks great. I hope he sticks around for.
He
I hope he
actually-
has a major role.
He looks big. He looks better now than he did back then.
In Return of the
With that
Jedi,
shit butterscotch blonde
that
haircut.
Lego haircut that he
Yeah,
had.
what the fuck was that?
That was really unbecoming.
Yes.
Yeah, that was not the best look. He should have kept with the Empire cut. You're right.
Yeah.
That was like the super cuts look.